What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I've got some really big news before this upload gets started. Can you guys recall how I was talking about how I'd never filled a deer tag in my entire life? Rifle, muzzleloader, archery, any of that. I've never filled a single one. Well, I got big news, boys and girls. See that arrow right there? That is my first official successful hunt. It's a trophy of that remembrance because, well, just the other day, I smashed my first doe and I'm pumped about it. It's obviously not here. It's over at the butcher shop right now. So we got some jerky, some sausage, some sticks, and some steaks on the way. I am just unbelievably excited to say the least. Unfortunately though, I did not film it. I had actually had my GoPro out 2 hunts prior. It was all mounted up to the bow, ready to go. But I was getting all weird and superstitious, like I wasn't really actually focusing on the hunt. Rather, I was kind of distracted by making sure that the camera was on to capture the moment. And well, this last time, I took the GoPro off and I landed my first doe. But don't fret, I'm going to do my absolute best to try and get some hunting footage from this season. I still hold 2 more doe tags and a buck tag, so we still have a lot of opportunity.
Welcome to How Many Takes Does It Take Me to Get This Right, starring your host,
DURTYMAX Jack.
So we still have a lot ahead of, I still have two, wow, I can't talk. Oh my God. I still have 2 doe tags and 1 buck tag, and rut is right around the corner, so I'm hoping that that brings some awesome content. Now, today, guys, we're gonna be hanging out with a truck that's a little bit different than pretty much every single one that we've had on the channel, and that's because it's actually a foreign diesel. Just had an opportunity to review one of the new, well, semi-new, but now to be extinct, Nissan Titan Cummins XDs. One just popped in at Lime Ridge, and I wanted to jump on the opportunity to, well, jump in it and go and take all of you along. Gotta grab the gallon though. All right, guys, you hold down the fort. You good with that? All right, cool. Good talk. Now guys, just beware of the fact that when you're seeing this video right now, we are into the single digits before DDG number 5 is completely gone and gone forever. So if you haven't gotten your entries yet, Procrastination Nation, this is when I begin to give you your warnings that the end is near. If you haven't grabbed your entries and you want to, we do have a limited thermal up on the site right now. They are going pretty fast. If you guys want one, grab one. Blowing money banners are now in stock. Y'all have been asking about them for the longest time and they are back. Don't know for how long. And then key tags are there too, but those little suckers are flipping like hotcakes. Just remember, guys, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It could be you. All you need is that 1 entry and it could completely change your life forever. The end is October 26th. It's right around the corner. Gotta give them their adequate means. Don't want to make them mad. I have road cycled before a few times, but sometimes those cyclists get really intense. Not only just off the experiences that I've seen on the internet, but also in person. If you don't give them adequate distance, I've gotten flipped off multiple times and it's kind of hard to always give them distance. But yeah, I mean, we gotta share the road, right? And I'll tell you what, guys, the weather today is absolutely gorgeous. Makes for a perfect day to review a new truck. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we are hanging out with this truck right here behind me, which is a 2017 Nissan Titan XD Cummins. Yes, a Cummins. Isn't that weird to say? Nissan Cummins. Kind of something that I had to get used to saying, but don't really have to get used to saying, because unfortunately these trucks right here are going to be completely discontinued in the diesel version in December of 2019. This upcoming December, only just a few months away, because they really didn't do as well as I think Nissan had hoped they would. Nissan kind of took the popularity of mid-sized diesel configurations from other countries and said, hey, let's introduce it to the States and try and convince them that, A, Japanese engineering is better because it's cheaper and more cost-effective, blah, blah, blah. It's more reliable, and, well, we'll provide the diesel so we can get that big, burly American grunt through all the power that we love and enjoy here. But the Americans are a little bit stubborn, I'd say, because this thing didn't really perform as well as they had hoped compared to some of the big OEM American manufacturers that you're seeing here all behind me. But this truck came in as is. It was just traded in not too long ago, and the cool thing about it is, and which is why we're reviewing it today, is because it is tuned. It makes really amazing exhaust notes. Here's a small little teaser for you guys. We'll get into that more. What I can promise you is this truck makes incredible sounds. It's almost like a mixture between like a Volkswagen TDI at the low end and almost like a DURTYMAX V8 at the top end. And that brings us to the powertrain. It's a 5.0 liter Cummins V8 diesel. It's kind of a weird combination because anybody that's really truly enriched in the modern diesels is used to saying, well, inline 6 with Cummins, but no. And proudly, Nissan displays their badge here on the side and says, ladies and gentlemen, just want to let you know, just like all the Dodges, we do have a Cummins under the hood. And just as a quick reminder, it is a turbo diesel. We're not talking about any of those real old Cummins that don't have turbos on them. Come on, guys, it's the 21st century. And they really just wanted to make that known, as I would want to too. You'd think, hey, America, we're offering a Cummins, disregard the badge on the front, it is a Cummins. But of course they had big shoes to fill, which they really didn't do all that well. Or maybe they were just a little optimistic. Also, pardon the noise in the background, it's an automotive channel, so you guys get it. And that's because of the fact that, well, as a staggering comparison statistic, in 2018 they sold about 55,000 of these trucks. You'd think like, wow, 55,000, that's a really big number. I mean, if we took 55,000 of these in one area, it would fill pretty much as far as the eye can see. But if you compare that to what some of the other OEMs are doing per month, it's actually really a tiny number, because they're doing about 55,000 in some months. In 1 month alone, some manufacturers are doing that with their kind of equivalent half-ton trucks. So I think the optimism is there, and kudos to you, Nissan, for giving it a shot, but it really didn't work out. December 2019, those things will be completely discontinued here. They will still continue to offer the Titan, but I don't think they're gonna do the XD, which is the four-wheel drive diesel, unfortunately. But that still brings us to the fact that this truck is here, and I wanted to seize the opportunity because I've never driven one, and I'm sure a lot of you have never seen one, especially that's tuned. Yes, this truck is tuned, and that's why I wanted to take it today and run around with it and have some fun with it, just to see actually how it is from an enthusiast's eye rather than the general consumer's eye, because, well, we all know how that went. So this truck's got some 265 60R20s. Those are probably 20 by 9-inch wheels. The owner clearly had a little bit of a desire for stance, but nothing crazy. Could tell he wanted to stay compliant because he did have his LED light bar cover on, which is, fun fact, ladies and gentlemen, required, because in case you accidentally hit the switch, you're not blinding people. And if anybody knows, these light bars can be super bright, and yeah, well, they will blind the ever-living crap out of you. And apparently I don't even know how to work them. There we go. The previous owner did do some rigid LED light pods in here as well, so tasteful mods, tasteful mods. But the big thing is, you open the door and you're immediately welcomed by a CSP5 switch. Weird to say because Nissan emblem. But yes, this truck is tuned, and we will be going out and having some fun in it here in a little bit. It's a nice truck though. It's got a big crew cab, not bad on the inside, pretty spacious. You've got vents in the back, and then looking up into the front, I mean, it's really kind of like Americanized in a lot of ways. Similarities to kind of the modern day center consoles, the big burly dash, even like the instrument clusters kind of somewhat look Dodge-esque. Not the new Dodge, but anything kind of leading up from 2011 to like 2017, 2018. Push button start, which is cool. And a steering wheel that reminds me of my grandfather's Nissan Quest. But we'll just discount that right now because of course we're here for the diesel. And as a lot of diesel owners do, they tend to sacrifice specific things in their truck just to go ahead and get the diesel under the hood. I know we've all been there. Now, let's talk a little bit about the motor configuration. It's kind of interesting. So here we have a look at the Cummins 5.0 liter V8 diesel. It's really, honestly, kind of interesting to look at because it is so much smaller than that of what I'm used to seeing, which is the Power Stroke and, of course, the DURTYMAX, the 6.6 liter and the 6.7 liter motors. A little 5.0 really is somewhat compact in a lot of ways, but the general engineering architecture is all there. It's just laid out a little different compared to what we're used to in the big American manufactured trucks. EGR is on the left side of the motor, which usually is the case on all trucks. But the intake manifold is kind of interesting because it's kind of a big plenum that wraps up and around, and then the turbo is kind of like directly here in the center of the motor, which is kind of interesting. Can't say I've ever really seen any other motors that look this way, but then again, I haven't really looked under the hood of too many smaller diesel trucks, so I guess that's just on me. But this motor, again, is trying to compete with that of the mid-size half-ton market, so half the demand of the 1-ton, right? I mean, that's a general rule of thumb. This motor makes 300 horsepower and about 500 foot-pounds of torque. Now, tuned, that's a lot different, and it feels a lot different, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that here later in the video. No more? There it is. And then as an afterthought before we jump into this thing, and to let you guys hear some exhaust notes driving because it makes unbelievable sounds while going down the road, I just wanted to add kind of an afterthought, and it's really bizarre to kind of have this truck here and be doing what we're doing today. And it's probably a big compliment to the reason that why... Thanks, Josh. maybe these didn't do all that good is because when I think Nissan, what do I think of? The 350Z, the 370Z, and the Nissan GTR. And that's really about it. I knew that I was reviewing this truck today, so weirdly my subconscious was kind of attracted to like all Nissans that passed, but I really didn't even see that many of them. And I was specifically looking around for these trucks, whether it was the XD or just the bare bones gassers, and I really didn't see that many in comparison to like the blue oval trucks or the Ram trucks or the GM brands. Those numbers that we had talked about earlier in the video totally make a lot of sense.
How dare you do the dirty way?
All right, I'm gonna stand right there, I think. I'm gonna like cover my ears because, well, it's got exhaust on.
Because it's so loud. I'm not supposed to be taking a picture, right?
No,
just holding it. Yeah.
Am I still in frame?
Yep. Your head's like right by the plate now, where it would be. Cool.
Should I move over more like this?
No, I'd look good like that. Looks good.
What else should I do?
There you go.
Okay. How to be a user. Jeez. Thank you.
How dare you do the dirty way?
Just listen to that thing. That sounds amazing. Guys, let's go for a drive. My God, look at the colors. This is incredible. Guys, fall is here and then it's gone. Anybody that's in an area that has fall, I know most of the country generally does. But anyway, guys, I've been cruising around this truck for a little while. I didn't want to give you my uncanny feedback before I actually had some time to develop an opinion about it. And I gotta say, this thing is actually remarkably enjoyable. Now, you know, you do kind of feel like you're driving a Nissan, you know, for whatever that is to you. But in the last 25 minutes that I've been driving it, I've actually really been enjoying it. If I had to break down the exhaust note just to begin, being that this truck was traded in with modifications on it already, I got a compliment on the fact that they sound incredible. They've got this really low, crazy whistly idle and kind of a deep and aggressive rumble, if you will. And then on the top end, if you floor it, being that this is a 5.0 liter V8, it screams just like a DURTYMAX would if it had comparable modifications to the exhaust. Very pleasing, to say the least. That's all I have to say. It is well done. I'd say it's probably one of the better sounding small diesels I've ever heard. I've heard a 2.8 liter DURTYMAX. I can't really say that I'm that big of a fan. Obviously haven't heard the 3.0 liter diesel that's gonna be coming out in the Ford, but this one actually sounds really, really good. I like it a lot. Getting into the accelerator, it is extremely peppy. It almost wants to like rip the tires out from right under the truck, and then it does kind of die down a little bit, which you can expect with, you know, a stock turbo. It's not like they're meant to spool to the moon or anything like that. But when you get into this thing, being that it does have some sort of a, I guess we'll call it a CSP5 switch that's right over here to the left side of the wheel, driving this thing right now in Tune 4 without stepping into it too aggressively, it gets up and goes. It spools beautifully. Those vanes are really moving around to create a beautiful, beautiful harmony. I'll tell you what, I'm really enjoying this. Not bad, not bad at all. Sounds just like a DURTYMAX now. Literally just like a DURTYMAX on the top end. That is super cool. Have you guys ever heard like an old TDI with an exhaust on it, how they whistled like unbelievably crazy? Well, that's kind of what this thing sounds like down low. But then you get to the driving experience. It's kind of weird actually, because there's enough room, but it's not like you have too much. There are similarities to HD trucks, but not 100%. You kind of still feel like you're in a smaller chassis in what this thing would be competing with in its like kind of half-ton truck. And you kind of get like the micro feel, if you will. You got smaller mirrors, so it's like, all right, we do have the diesel powertrain here under the hood, but we have these baby mirrors, so it kind of makes you realize like, okay, we're not in a full-size 3/4 ton or 1 ton truck, but we get kind of all of the characteristics that one would associate to those bigger body vehicles. It's kind of a weird feeling. This is like my first time behind the wheel of a light-duty diesel, and I don't really honestly know how I feel about it. I mean, I like it, but like, can I see myself in it? And that's kind of the question that I'm trying to answer right now. And as of this current point in time, I just don't know. There it was. Jesus, this thing spools fast. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the throttle is extremely touchy and that small turbo under the hood spools extremely fast. You can get a little bit of turbo spool from the inside with the mods that are on this truck. Nothing really too crazy. And it does make baby little blow-off sounds when you let off the throttle, which is clearly something that is very enjoyable. But I mean, overall on the inside, it's not not bad, but you do feel like you're in a Japanese-made vehicle. And I think that that's really kind of where a lot of the confusion comes in, because you feel like you're being propelled by an American-made thing, and then you kind of look around and you get that kind of typical, I guess, JDM manufacturer feel. Everything is kind of plasticky to the touch, you know, cost-effective materials used in manufacturing. You do kind of get the big center console, and this truck is optioned up. It's got the nice heated seats, and it's got the XM dual climate control. It's got all of your trailering needs. It's got tow haul, which actually works really well. When in tow haul mode, this thing loves to downshift and use its turbo brake functionality, which is very nice, very nice to even drive with, because you don't have to really kind of depend on the brake as much. It also makes extremely nice exhaust sounds when it's downshifting and exhaust braking. Very enjoyable at that. I can't really say I'm a big fan of this steering wheel, because I feel like I'm behind the wheel of my grandfather's Quest van, but other than that, I think that all the exhaust notes in this truck specifically and the power and drivability really kind of make up for that. This truck is a blast to drive around town because that turbo spools up so fast. It's really actually super easy to drive, which makes it all the more enjoyable. It just gets up and goes. Not bad. This is a rowdy little girl. This exhaust is kind of interesting because it almost growls. Like, you have an expectation as to what you would hear from a Cummins, but this is far from that. And it's pretty cool. At this point, that about concludes our day with the Nissan Titan XD. What do you guys think? Do you think it's something that you'd see yourself driving? Would you absolutely never hop in the driver's seat and take one? I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of an interesting vehicle, personally. I don't think I'd ever grab one, but it is worth noting that this isn't a direct means of competition with the 1500 lineup of trucks. Rather, if you look at kind of the curb weight, power, blah, 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 it's kind of like a weird hybrid between a 3/4 ton truck and a 1/2 ton truck. So I guess maybe America wasn't ready for this, I don't know, bizarre medium, or maybe it just wasn't necessary. I guess the world may never know. But as a final takeaway, I do know that in Europe, the small diesel motors are ridiculously popular, and among German manufacturers, you see them everywhere. And I know that this is Japanese, but still, I feel like the whole push for diesel power, efficiency, fuel economy, blah, 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 is really never gonna go away until electric comes into play, because that instant delivery of torque. And honestly, I hate to say that, but it's probably going to be in most of my generation where we see a big phasing out of diesel trucks. Maybe we'll be talking about something like this one day that's an antique because electric powered vehicles are able to do what these have done. And I don't mean to mention that because I feel like as a diehard diesel enthusiast, that really kind of makes me sad, but that's kind of the future. And unfortunately, we can't really change it. But regardless of that, this was fun, and I definitely have a real keen liking to that 5.0 V8. And apparently, from what I've read online, they're pretty good motors. They're way better than the EcoDiesel, which was just a total flop. And honestly, it'd be kind of cool to see a similar variation of the Cummins offered in the Ram light duty trucks. But the big question is, will Dodge ever actually do that? We've got the baby DURTYMAX, now we have a baby Power Stroke, and we don't have a baby Cummins other than in a Nissan. So seems like there's an opportunity for you, Dodge. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into Denali, get home, and I'm gonna start making dinner for the wife, because that makes her really happy. My likely goal of you guys do what you do best, train. A lot of interruptions in this video. If you guys haven't already, grab some entries for DDG number 5, which is Super Duty Sam, which is the Power Stroke, which is a Lariat, which will be potentially in your driveway or wherever you park your vehicles very soon. Guys, there's literally just a handful of days left in that giveaway before it's over. Grab yourself a thermal or anything else on the site, and your entries are automatically submitted. Tap that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I see y'all in the next upload.
Black shades looking flash ain't cool. In class they would say I never grasped all the rules. I turned in all my homework on the last day's due. Now I'm throwing up that paper like the last day of school. And we ain't really worried about a thing. Whatever's in my cup got me feeling like a king. I came in with my gang.